Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Footy Fans Podcast. Andrew, Santo, and Joe. You can get the podcast on Apple Music. Is that Apple Music?
Yeah.
Apple Podcast?
Apple Podcast.
I knew I was going to mess that up. Spotify, YouTube. This will be up on there. We have our shorts posted on YouTube. We have the full version of the podcast posted up on YouTube. So get it where you can. Boys, the title race is back on. I mean, it was a few short weeks ago we were saying, oh yeah, Arsenal's going to run away with it. They're clearly the favorite still to bring home the title. Huge game today. We've been hyping it up for weeks now. We finally got to see them play in a Premier League match, not FA Cup, not Carabao Cup, nothing else. Man City toppled Arsenal away at Emirates, which was kind of a mind-blowing experience too. 3-1 victors for Man City. What does this mean for the title race? Like, is this now like a two-headed thing kind of going like the rest of the way now, or is it momentum all in Man City's favor? They still have to play each other one more time in April, I believe, back at the Etihad. So again, it would favor Man City, depending on how they do as well leading up to that match. But who's in the driver's seat now for the title?
Yeah, I mean, even though Arsenal have a game in hand, so if they win their game in hand, they'll be 3 points clear of City. I still think City are the favorites at this point, given that they beat Arsenal away, which is. Can't be overstated, I think, or understated. I don't even know. But, now you're going to go back to the Etihad, and for Arsenal to take down Man City after already losing to them this season and to get points from them at the Etihad, I think it's going to be really tough. City's going to have all this momentum going forward, and Arsenal is going to feel like, did they just kind of blow their chances? I mean, you've had a loss, a draw, and a loss in your last three. And to have that last loss against City can make it really deflating for your title hopes. So I think it's going to show or give Arsenal a chance to show their character. But I would peg Man City for just keeping this momentum going and kind of taking it.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say it's going to be City now to win the title. Just because this last run for Arsenal was not been ideal. I mean, you go on a run like this, that can cost you, especially how tight it can be at the top sometimes. Granted, City does have their own problems, so I don't see City winning out the rest of the season, because I don't know if it was, I think it was 2 years ago when they went on like a 14-game winning streak to catch up to Liverpool or whatever it was, whatever happened that season. I don't see that happening this season, so Arsenal is going to have to make the most of when City drop points, which I think they might do, which I don't know, you guys talked about in the last podcast. They might end up losing 15 points anyway, depending what happens. But outside of that, I do see City probably dropping some more points. I know there's like rumors of like stuff going on in the locker room. Who knows if they're true, but we'll have to see. It's going to be an interesting run. It's going to be an interesting run-in.
Yeah, just from Arsenal's point of view, their last 4 matches overall in all competitions, only 1 point. And that was a home draw to Brentford. Yeah. So, again, I don't know what's happening, if it's going to be, some shuffling in the locker room has to happen. Thomas Partey didn't play today, so Jorginho got his first start for Arsenal. We can kind of see that core was lacking in the middle of the field, because Man City's lineup that they started with, the commentators were mentioning it too. It was a very aggressive lineup coming from Pep.
Yeah.
Having just 3 in the back and then not playing like wide. Like Grealish and Mars aren't really responsible to come back and track back and, play more as defensive wingers. So they were kind of given a free leash to just stay ahead, because they had Bruno Silva and Rodri just kind of shift over to those spots and try and cover for where Mahrez and Grealish would be if they came back.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just an all-out attack from Man City. And we could see the pressure that they were putting on Arsenal, especially at the beginning of the game. It was kind of flustering the Gunners, I think. And it just kind of goes to show, too, like the mistake by Tomiyasu, which basically just gifted De Bruyne the goal, which, I mean, great finish, too.
Yeah.
Like, very difficult to get that shot off still and put it in. But that just kind of goes to show how the pressure for Man City can really, change the flow of the game.
Yeah, and for me, the fact that De Bruyne just, did that finish like he did. The commentator made a good point where a lot of players will just come, take that, and take a touch and try and go around the goalie, and the angle's gone.
Yeah.
De Bruyne to just come. He's not even facing the net, and he just has the awareness to know where it is and just like put it clearly past Ramsdale. Perfectly in the bottom corner. I think it might have like just grazed the post on the way in.
Yeah, it's a very tight finish.
It was a tight finish. I mean, there wasn't a lot to play there with, but he just kind of just took it and made the most of it. Obviously, but I've been a little surprised with how City's lined up. They've gone a 4-2-3-1, and in this case they went with a 3-2-4-1. I don't know if it's just Pep who's been wanting to play this system, and he's changing up his classic 4-3-3. I don't know why he feels this is more effective and why he's changing what's kind of worked. Maybe he feels like he can put Haaland more of a focus and have more attacking players behind him that can go up and support him instead of having just like a flat front three. So that might be it, and maybe have more people in the middle. Because maybe Haaland can take more of that load going forward. But yeah, they lined up the same against Tottenham. Against Tottenham they did a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, this game against Villa.
Villa they did the same formation they did today. Basically, it looks like it was basically in preparation for this game because it was the exact same lineup, almost. So I don't fully know why he's changed, but we'll see if this kind of works out for him, and if Haaland starts getting more involved.
Yeah, I do think with the players City have and with how much possession they have, I do think a 3-2-4-1 probably is best for them.
Because you have four guys there in the middle of the field, right?
Well, and their outside backs, you see a lot of the times their outside backs always become inverted anyway and play in the midfield. And they do have quality center backs with like Ake, Diaz, Kyle Walker, plus Ederson, who's a makeshift defender with how he can pass. So I do think this favors them a lot. It gets more bodies in the midfield, and you still have you have essentially four center midfielders, two wide guys, and Haaland up top. I do think this allows them to get the most out of everyone and get like as many of their best players on the field as possible.
Yeah,
because you look at Rodri, De Bruyne, Gundogan, and Silva. Like, take your pick. And then Grealish, obviously he's been playing really well. So
finally got his goal today.
It might be because with 4-2-3-1 you get the inverted outside backs. So they come in the middle and you have your outside guys. There were, and we've seen it in the past, where City would get, if they got caught out of possession, they would be exposed in the back. And we talked about how even though they've had like this amazing successful run over the years, I think one of their criticisms is that they do get exposed, especially when they get the ball turned over in the midfield. So I think this might relieve the pressure of the two center backs when possession gets turned over, because Walker and Ake don't got to come into the middle to start collecting possession and act like a center midfielder, and instead you got Rodri and Silva doing that. So you have Ake, Diaz, and Walker there if you lose possession, and they can still get involved in the play. And they're not kind of being wasted on the outside, because for me, having outside backs and wingers is kind of a waste. Like, I don't think you need two really wide guys.
Yeah.
So that might be it. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, just knowing Pep too, and the way that he likes to play with possession and everything, this is just a possession team's dream of how to play.
Yeah.
Because looking at the lineups now, we're just looking at the picture of starting 11 for both sides, and the way that the graphic is lined up, they have their three center backs of Ake, Diaz, and Walker like on the top of the 18-yard box, like just for the graphics sake. But during the game, they're almost at half. Like, they're pushed so far up.
Yeah.
So, like, when you actually see it play out in real time during the actual match, that middle is just so congested with bodies, but it just favors Man City because they can close down quickly, they can put high press on, they can possess the ball. Like, they're like one of the best teams, in the Premier League and even in Europe that can do that. And, yeah, it just allows the defenders to be that much closer to the midfielders for breakout plays, for when the ball gets turned over and they can regain possession or whatever the case is. So I think, it makes a lot more sense to play this way. And we just talked about it, how they had the same formation against Aston Villa last week, and both those games combined were 6-2, like 6 goals for, 2 goals against, 2 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And the previous formation against Tottenham that Santo was talking about, they lost that match 1-0. So clearly Pep was probably saying, okay, we have to fix something here. He's obviously a guy who's very meticulous with his strategies and game planning. So he probably said, okay, we lost. Let's change it up. Let's do something different. Let's try this out. I'm sure they have tried this formation like in the training ground. They don't just like wing it on, on Sunday. But no, I just think it's another example of just like Pep kind of being the ultimate strategist and like manager. Mm-hmm. And I saw a stat actually too before the game started. The last 10 Premier League matches of these two teams, Man City's won all 10 games.
Yeah.
Like Arsenal were 0-10 coming in Premier League matches. So, I mean, it just goes to show like Pep has Arteta's numbers still. I did say that they lost in the FA Cup a few weeks back Arsenal lost to Man City in the FA Cup a few weeks ago as well, but this is when it really, really matters and really counts. And this is by far the biggest match of the season.
Yeah.
For the whole entire Premier League. So all eyes were on it. And I mean, for the game to go the way it did in the first half with the De Bruyne goal and then the Nketiah, penalty and Saka finish, it kind of just set the tone for second half, saying, okay, like we're all even now. Kind of what you're saying, Santo. Mm-hmm. And second half came out and we just saw two different sides. Like, Man City just dominated. Again, another kind of turnover created the goal for Grealish, and then Haaland finally got his deserved goal. He was, running his ass off all game, kind of being a pest.
Yep.
And what was the stat, Santo? He has now broken the record for Man City.
Yeah, so he's got 26 Premier League goals this season, which is wild. Like 23 games in, 26 goals. So he tied Sergio Aguero for the most Premier League goals by Man City player. And this is just, again, it's Premier League goals, not all competition, just in the Premier League. Sergio Aguero had the title at 26 in 2014, 2015. So Haaland just tied him on that, and he still has 15 games to play.
That's nuts.
Which is still wild to me. I mean, 26 goals. Harry Kane's in second. We were just talking about it before. Harry Kane's got 17, which if Haaland wasn't here and Harry Kane had 17 goals at this stage of the season, everyone would be talking about it because it's just absurd. It's kind of like the season when Leicester won and Tottenham was sitting second the entire time. Everyone's talking about Leicester, but Tottenham is like, oh, Tottenham's in second. They could win.
They could win. Right? Then they got third. I saw a stat like Tottenham got third in a 2-horse race. It's kind of funny.
But to be fair, they lost.
They lost, and they were just like, whatever.
They pissed that season away at the end.
Yeah. So they're like, we're not going to win. We're going to make Champions League. It doesn't matter. So they, rest guys, whatever. Still funny, funny thing though. But yeah, no, like you said, it was a mistake by Tomiyasu at the start. That gifted De Bruyne the goal. And like I said, it was, call it what you will, but Arsenal tied it up, which was good in the sense that, all right, you go into halftime even, let's see who the better team is now. And then City still come out and, force errors by Arsenal. So I think it was a really good game. I think City were the better side. And it's just, we got to see how these two teams go for the rest of the season.
Yeah, at this point, it is too hard to say put all your eggs in one basket. When we did it before with Arsenal, it's because they had a 6-7 point lead. Was it 8?
8 at one point, I think.
Yeah, up to 8 points at one point of the season. So, just the recent run of form from Arsenal, obviously the draw to Brentford hurts. The loss at Everton was crushing for them.
Yeah.
It could be even worse if Man City would have picked up points that same weekend, but with that loss to Tottenham, that kind of helped Arsenal out. But them being level on points, Arsenal still have the one game in hand. I'm not sure which game in the schedule is that one game in hand that we'll see when that is. Mm-hmm. Probably a midweek game or something. Just kind of slot it into the schedule. But yeah, I've been so pro Arsenal this whole season, and that's now being a Chelsea supporter. It's I hate to see it because I want to see Arsenal do bad, but I had all my eggs in one basket for Arsenal this year, and I was looking forward to seeing them win, have a new champion. Yeah. But now it's just you see them slipping away a little bit, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but it's just I thought they were going to comfortably take the season away.
Yeah.
But when you let Man City and Pep just open the door a little bit, you better watch out because they could just come, they can just smell blood now in the water, right?
Yeah.
We've seen them close down, Liverpool in the past and have like some pretty good battles with them. Even like with Chelsea and Tottenham in the last recent couple seasons as well. Like once they get ahead, they don't really look back, which is also kind of scary thing.
Yeah.
So like if they can manage to pull a bit of a lead against Arsenal, like whatever the results are from the makeup game that Arsenal has and whatever streak Man City can get on, or Arsenal can drop points here and there. If they can get, a 3-4 point lead at some time and level on games played, like you better watch out.
Yeah. I think at that point it'll probably be done because I know when City was in a position when they're like, we're in our own destiny, we just got to win every single game.
Mm-hmm.
They won all those games, and Liverpool won all their games. They still saw it out, so they know how to win titles.
Yeah.
So if they get level on points with Arsenal and there's like a 3-4 point gap, I think it's going to be very, very, very tough for Arsenal.
City
just like, the mindset's going to be not in Arsenal's favor because I don't think Arsenal has been, well, especially with the players they have now, they've never been in that position where it's like, oh, we got to catch a team at the top. Very tough.
Yeah.
Very tough.
Yeah, I think City really feed off, and it would. I think like any team would, but obviously with City being at the top for so long, and we've seen it time and time again, where I feel like you said, when they're in the spot where it's just like, all right, we're ahead, we just got to win every game. They really feed off that confidence and that control, I guess. And they just go in every game. They're like, all right, this is a game, we just got to win. Like we have to win, and they're not really thinking about any other team. So yeah, I do want to touch on Grealish because he scored today. He's been playing like really well. He's been starting, making a huge impact for the team. Is it starting to turn into a situation where there was one time he brought in Mahrez, he was like kind of struggling, and now he's Riyad Mahrez on City, who's like really just a key winger for them. Are we starting to see it with Grealish where it's like, he was like kind of struggling. He's like, and now he's just like, he has like a clear role that clearly contributes to the team every game. And it's noticeable. And he's just like, he's in.
Yeah. I mean, I know Phil Foden was out for a bit. I don't know if it was injury or illness. So that did give Grealish some time to actually play. But yeah, I mean, I said it last year, like Pep makes players better. So I think we're seeing Grealish turn into the player that Pep wanted him to be. I mean, granted, even last year when he was struggling, you always saw it. You can tell this game a lot. Like he carries the ball up the field.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't really like get it and like pass it back like too much. If he gets the ball and he turns and he starts running, he'll carry the ball like 20 odd yards up the field. Then it just gets them in a position where their whole team is now on the other team's end.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really was really attractive to Pep. And he's getting some key assists, some key goals, which is good. So yeah, good for him. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see because like I said, Mars was really struggling, and then it was a period 2 years ago, like even last year maybe, where it was like Mars was their go-to guy to score goals.
Yeah.
So we'll see if the same thing happens with Grealish. But yeah,
I think Mars led them in goal scoring a couple years ago, didn't he?
I think he was their leading goal scorer in all comps. I don't know if it was last year or the year before that.
Well, I think last year might have been Gundogan or something, and then before that might have been Mahrez.
Yeah.
It was flipped. He did good for a good spell there.
Mm-hmm.
With Grealish, the best comparison I think I can make to Grealish is like a point guard in the NBA. Because it's like, in the NBA, a rebound happens and then gets like pushed to the point guard right away. He just carries out the floor and then he just facilitates. That's kind of what Grealish does. Like a turnover can happen at any point in the field, or Ederson can get the ball and collect it. Gives it to Grealish, who's already 30 yards up, and he can just, like Joe said, carry it 20, 25 yards, and then just use his pace and agility to get into different spots in the pitch, and then send a ball in, take a shot, do whatever. So it's a good skill to have. Big time. And like a lot of players, try to do that in other teams, and they might not have the confidence, or they might not have like the skill set to do so. Like a player like Almiron for Newcastle kind of reminds me of that, or even actually St. Maximin too, kind of same thing for Newcastle. But Grealish has kind of made a name for it now, and he does win the fouls. Obviously, he does get fouled like the most in the Premier League, so that's obviously a benefit for Man City. They can get free kicks in good positions. But I think we touched on it last week. He isn't there to score goals.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like goals from him are a huge bonus. Like today's goal was kind of out of nothing. Again, another turnover, and Gundogan played him in and he scored.
Mhm.
I mean, it wasn't like the nicest of finishes either, but still a goal counts. But he's a bonus from Grealish is just a goal from Grealish is just a big bonus for your team because he's not there to give you 10, 15, 20 goals.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's there to maybe get you 3, 4, maybe create some assists. He's like the second assist guy. Like in hockey, there's always 2 assists. It's like it can go Grealish to De Bruyne to Haaland.
Yeah.
And like that would
Yeah.
be like his contribution. That doesn't show up on the score sheet, but he's still very effective. And the more you watch, like a lot of players or a lot of fans or just neutral, watchers of the game will say, "Oh, Grealish didn't score today. Oh, Grealish wasn't too involved." But if you actually watch the game, and you can target him a little bit when you're watching and actually keep your eyes on him, he does a lot of things that go unnoticed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or a lot of things that don't come up on the stat line that, again, just benefits Man City on just breakout plays, coming off turnovers, getting out of trouble. Like, he's a very valuable player to them.
Yeah.
And, again, he doesn't get the credit he deserves sometimes, or sometimes he gets labeled as a flopper, or he's, not very good. My dad can't stand him. But my dad's also, 63 years old. So he doesn't really understand, what a player like Jack Grealish can bring to the table. But he's starting to finally, get recognition as he should. And in the case of just players in that position, like Foden, he's back this game, but he didn't start. I don't know if he came in as a sub or not.
He
he
did.
came in later. But on those 2 wings, Grealish and Mahrez, who else can you really put in on the wing that's going to challenge Grealish now for that spot?
Yeah.
He's kind of successfully taken that job from Foden. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks when he's fully healthy. But just looking at the available bench for today's game, you would have to do a formation change for him to not play.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You don't really see anyone else on City who can do that, where they just pick up the ball, they'll turn a guy and just run up the field. They just kind of glide past people. He doesn't do anything crazy. He just sees the space and just runs at space, and with his pace, he can do that. And he draws fouls. I mean, maybe you dive, but it's you also being able to draw fouls is also a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's good to see. Always like seeing it when a big move actually works out, and doesn't turn into a flop. So, because we've seen it time and time again.
I'm seeing it right now with Chelsea. $600 million worth of moves.
Yeah. But yeah, just all in all, really, really good game. Super competitive. Good to see it.
Mm-hmm. Joe?
Yeah. No, like I said, good on. We'll see. I think next year will be the telltale sign whether Grealish is he's a solid person that Pep's going to keep there for next 3 to 4 years. Yeah, because I do think he does have to score maybe a bit more goals. What does he have? 3 right now in the Premier League?
It's under 5, I want to say.
Yeah, because granted, Haaland's there and he's bagging all the goals. I think. Well, we'll see. City could win the Champions League this year. Who knows what's going to happen there?
Possible, yeah.
Yeah.
City has 59 goals for this season, and he said Haaland has 26 of them.
Yes.
All right, so math, what is that, 33 more goals? There's 33 goals elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's coming from Man City, which actually kind of is a lot of number. It's a big number.
Who has the other 33 goals at City?
Santo?
I'm trying to...
Can you look that up or no?
Yeah, trying to get it.
Yeah, because in my mind, because when I was hearing the pundits thought they're they're so reliant on Haaland, which they are, great on some level.
Manchester City.
He's getting all the goals. I didn't know.
Yeah, so we got Haaland with 26, Phil Foden with 7, Mahrez with 5, Alvarez with 4, De Bruyne with 4, and then Grealish and Gundogan with 3 each, and then Cancelo, Rodri, and Silva with 2 each. So you got how many is that?
Well, that'd have to be 33,
11. 11 different goal scorers.
Make up 33 goals, and one guy gets 26.
Yeah, it's a weird one because I was listening to some videos and they were saying how Haaland is that they're so reliant on Haaland. It's tough for them on some level, but I never actually looked at stats. To me, they made it sound like Haaland has like 75-80% of their goals. And like from my just like mental like awareness, I thought that was kind of with how many he's had. But no, I think it's like a good balance. Like you still have like a ton of goals coming from everywhere else. You have 33 goals from the other everyone else. Then just one guy's crushing it.
Well, yeah, and it's tough for I think to say that because I think City won last year without Haaland, and they just had played a false nine, and they scored goals from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you also have to take that and say, they're just adjusting the formation with the players that they have, and if they know Haaland's a finisher, then they're working around that, and they're just utilizing that. Because I don't know if you can make the argument that if he wasn't there, that they wouldn't be in this position because that's what they did last year.
But it really helps.
It definitely helps, unless people start trying to like learn to shut him down and they have to adjust that. But, if it's working, you just keep doing what's working until you have to adjust, right? It's like when they lost Aguero, he was their guy and then they had to adjust and it worked. So yeah, gotta give credit where credit's due, I think.
But like it really has been since Aguero that we have seen a goal score like this from Man City.
Yeah.
Like for all the talent that they've had, it's been like at this point of the season, it would be like maybe Foden has 12 or 13 more goals because he has to pick up the slack or however they play. De Bruyne, him as well. Like he has four in the season. At this point of the season, he had like 10 a couple years ago. So like it's just taking some pressure off these guys. No, they don't want to get complacent and only rely on Haaland to score, but he just creates such a different dynamic for them going forward that they just haven't really had since Aguero.
Yeah.
And did Pep have Aguero when he got there? For any seasons or no?
Oh.
Do you guys remember?
I think he was already there when Pep got there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to say yes.
Because like we've seen in the past, like with Pep teams, like he's had Lewandowski at Bayern Munich, I think.
Well, yeah, because Aguero scored the Aguero goal, and that was when Mancini was there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like the first when they won the title.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but like since then.
Yeah, and then Pep got there, and Aguero was already there. Because I know there was an issue where like Pep brought in Gabriel Jesus because he thought he was going to be like the replacement for Aguero, but Aguero was like still crushing it. So.
Okay, so maybe 1 or 2 seasons.
Yes.
I don't think it's that many.
No. Well, he's only how long has Pep been there?
2016, 2017.
Yeah, not too long. Yeah, maybe I think he had like 2, 3 years, maybe 4. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it all kind of gets into a blur.
Yeah, I don't.
But like I'm just saying, my point is that we've seen Pep sides before, with him at Barcelona, him at Bayern Munich before this. He's had like number 9s.
Yeah.
That work well with him, and like obviously he's like super successful with his other clubs. So for him to want a number 9 and finally get it, like look how well it's working out for them. Clearly.
Yeah.
And it must just be like a luxury too, because like having a false 9, I think there's a lot more tactics involved with like how to create chances.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, okay, we already have this guy here in this position. We just know he's going to be there, and he can kind of, like, obviously there's still tactics behind it, and he has to go to certain spots of the field to make chances created, but he's already there.
Mm-hmm.
Because a false 9, you have to like shift in that position and like have guys kind of go in and out of this, like, I don't want to get too technical, but like, pull defenders in and like have guys with movement off the ball. With Haaland already being there, either on last man and making that move, it's just already, like I said, he's already there.
Yeah.
Like there's a ton of videos out there of guys breaking down, previous seasons with Man City, and they're trying to create chances, and they'll say like De Bruyne gets the ball here at point A on the field. He looks up and there's no one ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he has to either wait for the team to come up behind him and like build up a little bit on a counterattack, where they show the exact same scenario. I think it's the second or third week of the season, where he receives the ball in the same spot. He looks up and Haaland's already making like a diagonal run in behind the defender, which didn't exist for them the last couple of years. So again, it just gives them that already quick option or that quick outlet to try and, turn a goal scoring opportunity that would have taken them 5, 6, 10 seconds or whatever, maybe 5, 6, 10 passes to build up last couple of years into like maybe like a 3-pass like goal.
Yeah.
And we've seen that before really work out for Haaland, like getting in behind defenders with his pace and his size and his strength.
Yeah.
And again, it's just a whole new dynamic that they didn't have. That's just like
Yeah.
a luxury to have.
It's funny because after he scored today, the commentator said how like, oh, it's a goal he needed because he hasn't been on the score sheet in like 4 games.
Ooh.
And it's just funny how it's like there's like you do so well and then there's just the expectation there where it's like if he just like finished the season with what he has now, doesn't score a single goal the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable that some people are going to say like, oh, he had like a not a great stretch at the end of the season, which is fair because he wasn't scoring, but like for him to come in his first season and to like if he finished the season with 26 goals to just tie Aguero's record in his first season, like that is a massive accomplishment in your first season in the Premier League. So
Yeah.
I think you definitely got to put it into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because they got what at this rate. Finished with 30 or 41
close to 40 probably, right? I'm just trying to see, like, I don't know the last time they had like a 30 goal scorer in the Premier League.
Go to all season.
know if it's
That's all that's
Oh,
total.
like all time.
They're 2017, 2018.
oh yeah when Mo Salah and Harry Kane
Mo
got
Salah,
30.
Harry Kane, 32 and 30.
Yeah, when Mo Salah had his like
Yeah.
That was like his breakout.
set the stage. That's when Liverpool.
They got close.
That's when they had 99 points.
Something like that. Alexis Sanchez had 24 goals.
Jeez. Kane at 29.
Yeah, Kane's just like last decade, man. Kane's just
He was just
been on one. Obviously, 216 goals.
yeah.
For Tottenham in his career. You're gonna score a lot. You're gonna lead the league a lot of the time in goals scored. But yeah, 2017, 18, yeah. So it's been almost 6 years since we've seen somebody crack the 30 goal mark, and Haaland's 4 goals away from that with how many? 18 games to play?
City has 15.
15 games to play?
I wonder if he had a 40 goal season.
I don't know. Can you check like
Like filtered by seasons? I don't know how to do that.
Hang on.
most goals scored in a single season in the EPL?
Well, we can date back to like the 1800s for that, maybe.
Yeah. Suarez had a... Yeah, just check every single one.
Remember Gareth Bale?
Yeah.
Just lighting it up.
Now he's retired.
Is it going to be golfing now, eh?
Yeah. 34
right now is the record in 94-95 Alan Shearer.
So they'll be talking about that soon on every broadcast.
Yeah. Yeah, so 34. Oh, well, he's tied. Andrew Cole has 34 as well, and then Salah has 32. So it is tight. I would be surprised if Haaland doesn't break that.
He has
26.
He has 26, 15 games left.
Who knows, man? He could just
definitely
he could just
doable.
get another hat trick.
He could.
He could literally come out next week.
He could just come out against Nottingham Forest, right? They have played Nottingham Forest.
Yes.
Yeah, so like he could just come out and get a hat trick against Nottingham Forest.
He could.
It's very
it's
very
Nottingham Forest has like been on the upswing like hard.
Yeah, but then the return game.
Yeah, they are
next
playing.
game is Bournemouth.
They are playing Bournemouth
So back to back
away
games.
They're away.
Both away. Yeah. They have a dirty away schedule coming up. Five away matches.
Crystal Palace away isn't the issue. Crystal Palace at home is the issue.
Always.
We're gonna go to Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace at the Etihad is an issue.
If Crystal Palace played every game like they played at the Etihad, they would be top 4 team every season.
If they just had an away schedule, they'd be great.
Just an away schedule at the
Just
Etihad.
an away schedule play all the games at the Etihad.
All neutral field, all games at Etihad.
Still with Man City fans there though.
Like no, we need the Man City fans here.
I love it.
Super strange.
Yeah, no, they're like a unicorn of a team when it comes to like the top teams.
Yeah, especially against City.
It's Joe's favorite matchup is the Crystal Palace and Man City.
Well, I think like I said before they play, it's like that's gonna be. I think all the City fans know it too because even I think you were saying before, it's like City don't like when Crystal Palace go to the Etihad. They're just like a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange.
Well, I feel like almost some of it is like you play down to your competition, which you should never do, clearly. But like you have such swagger as like a team like Man City, where you just are expected to win every single game, and it's Crystal Palace. Like it's not fucking, Man U coming into your house. So I think just every single time they just doubt them, but then Palace just shows up, man.
I'm just telling. It's just ever since the volley from Townsend, it's been downhill from there.
That was it.
It's been downhill from
You got Palace losing to Southampton in the FA Cup. You got Palace. Palace lost to Chelsea this year. There you go. That should tell you everything.
Lost to Tottenham.
Lost to Fulham. Why did I play Napoli? What the hell was that? Oh, that's just like the friendly in between the World Cup. Yeah. Lost to Nottingham Forest this year. But then they go ahead and beat West Ham. They lose to Everton. They beat Wolves. Like they're just such a weird team.
They're just mid-table.
Beat Leeds.
They're a mid-table team.
They're a mid-table team that will beat.
They take some points from the top, lose some points from the bottom, and they just end up.
Oh, did Man City beat them at home this year?
Yeah. 30 played. 4-2.
That was.
But they were down 2-0.
Yeah.
I remember.
Okay, no, yeah.
This was the game we talked about. This was the game that City would normally lose.
Yeah.
In Holland.
That I remember this game. Yeah, because they were losing, like they.
Holland gets a hat trick in 19
typically do, and then Holland
normally would, and then Holland is
here. Then Holland gets
19 minutes second half hat trick.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
But they were down 2-0.
That was the shaking off of the old
that's shaking
City.
Oh yeah, losing like always. Then Holland comes up.
Anyone else you guys want to go? Really? Like,
I do want to touch on just like top four in general. Man U was getting dangerously close to City, which I think it's been like years. I think since they've been ahead of City or something like that in the table. I think probably after like so many games. I don't know, like first 2 games of the season they might be, but. I think I heard that. So, they're sitting in third, which, good for them. I mean, Man U's had their struggles, and, the vibe around there is getting really positive with, it was the same thing with Arsenal, where you haven't had that kind of energy in a long time. So credit to Arsenal and Man U. They've been struggling for a really long time, and they're starting to get back in form. So Man U's sitting pretty nicely in third, 5 points ahead of Newcastle, but Newcastle has a game in hand. Newcastle's had just draws galore last 5 games, 4 draws in their last 5. So Tottenham is getting a little close to them, but they just got to win their game in hand, and they'll be 5 points clear of them.
Yep.
So I still see like a decently solidified top 4. I mean, anything can happen with 15 games left, but I still probably peg just the top 4 now is probably going to be the top 4. Now, I think it's going to be Man City, Arsenal top 2. I don't know where Man U and Newcastle are going to finish relative to each other, but just how Newcastle's been playing, see like a lot of good structure there with what's going on. So, yeah,
11 draws. Does that concern you at all?
It does, but it doesn't concern me in the sense because I think a lot of those would have been losses in the past, and that's why they weren't top 4.
Good point. Not top 4. That's probably why they were relegated.
Yeah,
in the past.
why they're battling relegation, but I think you're just starting to see more consistency. You're not getting a lot of goals scored against you. You have 13 goals against, which is the lowest in the league.
Very much so.
So yeah, I think they're just picking up draws. They're staying really structured, and yeah, of course you want those to be wins, but you also don't want them to be losses. So
yeah,
I think it's not the worst thing, especially with where they were last season. So just how they're playing, I think it's all good signs.
Yeah, I mean that's the heart. I think it's a lot more difficult to build like a solid defensive structure because you could go like. Go sign 2 or 3 like really like players, and you can probably start finding goals from somewhere. But like I think it's good that they have this defensive structure going on where they're not conceding a lot of goals. I think it gives them a really good foundation to like, go sign a couple, players that'll get them these goals. I think because that's really all they need now. Just some goals. But it's in terms of like the structure, like that's there already, which is good. Which I surprised it only took like one season.
Yeah.
To just like
feel like relegation.
We're just like a solid we have the best defense in the league right now.
And they didn't really do a big overhaul on the team either.
No.
Like they had the money come in last year, but they didn't like splash a ton of money like we thought they would.
No.
And revamp the entire team, kind of like what Chelsea tried to do. And I think it was like small minor changes, but it was more of a coaching culture thing.
Yeah.
That Eddie Howe brought. That has really affected the team. And I mean, we've seen it like I think my biggest takeaway from the top four that we see now, Man City, that's who they're going to be. But between Arsenal, Man United, and Newcastle, it's been really fast rebuilds.
Yeah.
Like accelerated rebuilds within a 2-3 year period. Starting with Arsenal, I guess. I think they're the first ones to really, kind of start from scratch. And with Arteta, and we saw in the All for Nothing documentary from a couple seasons ago where like he was almost on his way out, and the coaching staff or the ownership was behind him fully and said, "Hey, just give him time." He came to them and said, "Let me have some time. I really need to like help this team. I know I can help this team. Let me just get the players to do so and whatever." And it's working clearly. United, same kind of thing. Mourinho was there, Solskjaer was there. Those guys out, they kind of just disbanded the team a little bit, changed everything up, and then they bring Ten Hag in. He probably says, "Hey, let me run the team how I want to run it.
Yep.
Get faith in me. Let me get the players." And again, culture thing, it's working. And then we just touched on now with Newcastle and Eddie Howe, same kind of thing. He didn't bring in a ton of money to overhaul players, but they might have changed the facility a little bit. They might have upgraded some facilities, changed his team morale. Obviously, again, him just being a manager who's been in the Premier League for a long time with Bournemouth, and he brought them from like the depths of whatever league they were in into the Premier League.
Yeah.
He already has that confidence behind him that he can do this.
Yeah.
And now it's just accelerated again with Newcastle being in the top four, because Bournemouth never got into the top 10, I don't think. Or if they did, it might have been like a little bit here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But now with that chance with Newcastle, like he's just proving that he can manage the top 4, top 5 side.
Yeah.
And he's getting the results from the players. They're all like, diving into what the mentality is of the team. And I gotta keep bringing it back to my team. Like I think this is what Chelsea has to really do. Ownership just came out and said that they're going to evaluate Graham Potter on what he can do in years, not what he can do in months.
Yeah.
So he's kind of getting that little boost from Todd Bowley and ownership that he's like hopefully going to be there for years to come. And I think he wants patience from the fan base to just say, okay, it might be a bit of a grind. Like, yes, we spent all this money and everything, but like kind of just believe in the manager. And I think Graham Potter even came out and like bet on himself a little bit and saying like, yeah, no, I know I can do this job.
Yeah.
He basically just said, like, I need time. Which again, in the world of football, time can be 2 months or it could be 2 years. Like you never know like what is gonna like determine your success. Is it gonna be short term or long term? Everybody wants short term, but again, the 3 teams I just talked about, Arsenal, Man U, and Newcastle, they did have to go through years of shit.
Yeah.
Like Newcastle, Arsenal, we talked about last year finishing relegation zone, like hopefully or possibly. Man United this year had a terrible start to get the season this year too. Newcastle's been the kind of constant that's been in that spot the last couple of seasons. Like we saw like that turnaround from last year, but like what Santo touched on, these top 4, Man City, Arsenal, United, Newcastle, I don't think they're going to budge. I think they're just too solid of teams now because they're teams that don't really have much weakness.
Yeah.
Like you can't look at these sides now because with Man U bringing in Casemiro, that was like their big one glaring hole.
Yeah.
He fills that void now, and like now they're just killing it.
Yeah.
Arsenal, they have the youngest team in the league and one like the strongest core. Man City, again, it's Man City. Newcastle, I guess that they are the kind of new kids on the block, but they're just playing so well right now that you don't see cracks in their team. Yes, could they score more goals? Probably. But you can say that about any team too. But them only allowing 13 goals, the lowest we've seen, for years and years. Like that's just so impressive. Like 13 goals at this point in the season is actually crazy.
Yeah. Wild. Like 1 goal every other game, basically. That's it.
I just checked the stat. The lowest goal scored against in a Premier League season was 15, and Chelsea had that in 2004, 2005. So it's been almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Since we've seen a team have this least amount of goals scored. Again, I don't know if Newcastle's only going to concede 2 more goals the rest of the season would be super impressive. But they're up there with like the top teams, like top defensive teams in the league. in like Premier League history.
Yeah. Yeah. Super good to see. So hopefully they can keep it up.
Big time.
Yeah.
At the bottom, we have.
Oh God. I feel just depressing scrolling down to the year sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just so much red.
But what's his face? Is that Everton now?
Sean Dyche?
Yeah.
Yeah. They got
I think that's a really good appointment, actually.
Yeah, again, just talking to another guy who's kind of been through the ranks and able to bring clubs out of the lower levels and lower tiers into the Premier League. He did it with Burnley all those years ago, and they were able to stay up for like a long time until their demise of last season.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like what's just so mind blowing to me is just one win can propel you like 3 or 4 spots.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like just one win, like just somebody please, like it's
gonna win.
the bottom table. It's dying for somebody to win, man. From Leeds in 17th to Southampton in 20th, only 2 wins apiece out of their last 5 games for all these teams.
Yeah,
like that's not good.
No.
I'm still shocked West Ham is here. Wolves, I think, are on the upswing. Hopefully,
New manager.
yeah. West Ham shocked. Got what's his face, who's like obviously a really good manager.
David Moyes.
Yeah, and like the teams it's just strange.
Yeah.
Good to see Leicester is kind of like
Yeah. Getting safer.
getting safer. I can't bear Leicester getting relegated.
No.
No, they're the best They're the best 13th team of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they really are, and you can even say that about West Ham right now too. Like I don't get that team either. They have, good goalkeeping. What's his name?
Fabianski.
Fabianski. Yeah, good goalkeeping from Fabianski. A proven international goalkeeper. Like the likes of, Jared Bowen, who I guess he could cut it sometimes, but Mikel Antonio, Benrahma, another good player, Declan Rice, who's been, mentioned a ton of times with transfers to like big sides, and maybe it's their defensive kind of getting older. Like Agbon has been there for a long time. Emerson on the wing there was like a loanee at Chelsea all the time, but even like Lanzini, Danny Ings coming off the bench too now. Like Suchek was a big player for them last year as well.
Yeah.
Like they have a good team. I just don't know what's not clicking for them. Is it goals? What is it?
I don't know. I think that's why you need like those specialty like guys like Sean Dyche to come in for like when teams are struggling, just like figure out, because like I don't know.
They've only scored 19 goals this year, which is
Yeah.
lower tier for sure. The least amount of goals scored on the season is 16 by Everton. Then you got a couple 17s. Southampton has 18, and then West Ham 19. So it's a bottom 6 at least for goals for. But only 27 again. Like 27 is not that bad.
Yeah.
It's like the other, Brentford's getting up 29, but they're in 8th place because they're scoring.
It's just a goal scoring issue.
Yeah,
looks like. Yeah, need some goals to come from somewhere.
Then you have Leeds scoring 28 goals, but they're giving up 38.
Yeah,
like
that's a defensive issue.
Not scoring goals is a goal scoring issue. So getting too many goals scored against.
I mean, yeah, I guess when you look at the stats, it does kind of like tell you what the issue is.
It really does, I guess. Like it is like black and white sometimes. Like you try and break down and evaluate. Oh, what's going on? This team was bad. This team, like this team doesn't score a lot, and they get scored on a lot. Like it's not very good. Like
this team doesn't get scored on that much. They don't score a lot.
Southampton, like 18 goals for, 40 against. You're probably gonna be in 20th.
Yeah.
Did they fire the 2 managers this year?
Maybe.
Because they had Hasenhüttl.
Yeah.
And they let him go. And I'm pretty sure they just let go of whoever came in for him.
Yeah.
I think that was news that just came out a couple days ago. I forget his name. It's kind of irrelevant, I think. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they just fired like 2 managers in the same season, which I don't know if I've seen that.
That's asking for like disaster.
Could Chelsea do that this year?
I don't think they'll fire. If they fire Graham Potter, they're going to bring in someone. You would think because they went with Graham Potter because he was like the up and coming guy with Brighton. They're like, oh, he could be good. If Chelsea bring in someone, they're going to wait to bring in someone hopefully high profile.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Chelsea.
I thought it'd be like Simeone possibly.
That's what I was thinking too. It'd probably be someone like that if they do move on from Graham Potter, in which case they'll probably keep him till the end of the season, give him the summer to
rebuild
the team, and hopefully not let him go.
But then, like, how bad would that look on ownership though too? Like, you just bring in this guy after maybe 6-7 games after firing Tuchel. You give him a $600 million paycheck or $600 million budget to go buy players, and then you let him go.
They did the same. It was kind of similar to Tuchel. They gave him a ton of money to build a team in the summer, and then fired him. So that
they can't kept him.
They should have just kept Tuchel, to be honest. If they were looking, if they really didn't like him that much, because they didn't really give him that much time with his team.
I think he was there for like a year and a half. I think him and Lampard had the same amount of like time.
Yeah,
it was like 15 months or something. Or
it's
14 months.
That was very strange. I don't know. I think they should have waited until at least the January transfer window to make that switch.
How do you evaluate
at least the World Cup
on like
a
month into the season? Like, at that point, they were like 5th or like 6th. Like, they weren't like, oh, God.
No, I think it was just that game when they lost in Hungary. I think in the Champions League.
Was it No, it was
Czech Republic. Yeah, because they lost to Slavia Prague, I think.
Was that who it was?
I think so. I don't know.
Whatever
that game
was a game.
Whatever that game was.
Or was it Shakhtar?
I don't know. But still,
I forget.
Something squirrely happened there. Like, it must have been more than just the results. Because, they were in 5th, and he spent a ton of money. Like, they should have gave him at least another couple of months to try and dig him out of that hole. And they did just win Champions League.
I think one of the funniest things about that was they brought Aubameyang in because Tuchel was like the coach.
Yeah.
And because they have that rapport from Dortmund. And then he leaves like a week later.
Yeah, that was...
And Aubameyang's like barely played since then.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I came here because Tuchel's the guy that like I like and I know him and we've played together and he knows like my style, and then he's gone in a week. It's like, oh, what the hell, man? Yeah. Like, this is why I came here.
Probably super stressful for him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess he's barely, I think he might have 1 goal, 2 goals in the season.
Yeah.
Like in total of all competitions, and then he just barely played. And Potter had to put forth his Champions League like roster. He didn't put Aubameyang on there. A few of the new signings in January didn't make the cut to go on there either.
Mm-hmm.
So they go into the game today against Dortmund and they lose 1-0. And it's like you can't even use half the guys that you brought in because you don't have them on your Champions League squad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this team's just in shambles, man. Like, there hasn't been one bright spot all year. Spending the money is one thing, which, like, again, it's flashy. It made a lot of news. Everyone's kind of talking about Chelsea for maybe the wrong reasons, but, like, I can't mention one bright spot this entire season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very, very tough from a Chelsea perspective. So we'll have to see. I think you got to, like, dust it off, see what happens next year.
I mean, yeah. I had to dust it off. I do. But it's just hard because it's like this is the only team that I watch that I actually care about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like wins and losses. Like if I watch hockey or like basketball, it's like, it's whatever. But like when I watch this team, like it literally hurts me to watch this team sometimes because it's like I know they can be so much better than they are.
Yeah.
I know they can do so much more than they're doing. But they just stink.
It's always somewhat
They're
like
stinky.
It would just be interesting to see a season where like the top 6 are like all doing well.
Yeah.
It's like never
we were
the
talking
case.
about that, yeah.
Can't happen.
Not
There's always gonna be 1 or 2 outliers, and it means Liverpool as well this year too. Right.
Yeah, Liverpool. Can you go back to the table for a sec?
Yeah, Liverpool's playing Newcastle this weekend, which would be a really nice game to watch. From a neutral standpoint,
Liverpool's just like all over the place.
That's the only thing I can say from like, a Chelsea point of view is like, hey, Liverpool's doing just as bad as we are. So
1 loss, 1 draw, or 1 win, 1 draw, 3 losses.
In the last 5, yeah.
Very strange.
I mean, that big win was against Everton in the Merseyside derby, so that could be their turnaround game.
Yeah.
That can kind of light the fire under their butt to try and make a push into I don't even know what, just out of 9th place maybe. Because I don't know if they're going to have a successful second half of the season. Like I don't know what that would mean for these teams because Chelsea in 10th, Liverpool in 9th, being 10 points back of Newcastle for the last Champions League spot, it's going to be extremely hard to crawl back 10 points.
Yeah.
In like the last half of the season with only 17, 18 games to play. So I don't know what like Potter must have came to the board and said, hey, like I can do this second half of the season, or these are your requirements for second half of the season, they might say to him. Like hit these objectives and like we'll be happy. I don't know what they could have said to him.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
finish 6th.
You're just like
beat Brighton, maybe? Like that's like your
you're
objective.
probably gonna finish like between 7th and 10th. I mean, I think like Tottenham, Newcastle, Man U, they're all playing. They're doing like well enough.
Just enough, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't see like, especially with how solid Newcastle, I don't see a big slide coming out of any of those teams. Like, I don't see a disaster coming. I think, Antonio Conte's got everyone dialed in. Newcastle's pretty dialed in. Ten Hag somehow turned Man U around. So, yeah, I don't see Liverpool, Chelsea doing it. Maybe they squeak into Europa League somehow. Tottenham, keeps dropping points, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there are things that can be attainable that, like, will show success, I guess. But like, it's going to take a lot of work to get there.
Yeah,
and a lot of help.
Yeah,
yeah.
agreed.
Because
you have to win like all your games.
Yeah, like if the top half of the table like just keeps on doing what they've been doing basically all season, like running at what is it, like, I don't know, 50% clip of winning games, like you're not going to catch them.
No,
right?
Mm-hmm.
No, you will not.
Like Brighton, Fulham, and even Brentford are like getting how do we make this make sense? They're getting points in more than half their games, right? Either whether they be wins or losses.
Yeah.
Where Chelsea is just not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Yeah, I'm praying for your team.
Thanks, man. Okay, it's just it's just hard because again, like their team, they're just such a good team. Like they have on paper, they have the capabilities. It's just putting it all together. It's just very hard to like watch happen or try to happen week in, week out.
Yeah,
because like Potter doesn't even know what he's doing. He's changed the lineup every single time. Guys are still hurt, so he doesn't know who is actually going to be like his like number one fit all the time. In a perfect world, he would love to have Enzo Fernandez and N'Golo Kante next to each other.
Yeah.
But no one knows what N'Golo Kante's return to play is. Pulisic is hurt now. Sterling is still hurt on the wings, so that's going to diminish what they can do on the wings with their players. They have new guys coming in that have only played 1 or 2 games in England, like all the new transfers, like Enzo, Madueke, Fofana, Felix. Like they've only played a couple of games. Mudryk hasn't really gone going yet either. So there's like 5-6 guys that have barely even played English football.
Yeah.
Where other teams like Newcastle, they bring in some guy who's like already played English like football before, like Trippier. Trippier comes in last year from Atletico.
Yeah,
a guy who's already familiar with the game and like with the league. Ultimate impact.
Yeah,
he's their captain now.
Yeah,
like just killing it.
I mean, that's what I like about Newcastle. They came in and they're just being very methodical, which I like. Which is why they're probably gonna be like, well, they're already in the top 4. Like, if they continue on this trend and make some really good signings in the summer, they'll probably be top 4 again.
Yeah, you would think so. And even with Man U too, signing Casemiro, like we said, like they didn't go out there and try and find like a 22-year-old like youthful up and coming player. They found like an established world class player.
Well, I mean, thankfully, because like
no, I know
the people they were looking at before that were like, what?
No, then they definitely need. That's exactly what we were saying that they needed to bring in was somebody who could like, solidify their midfield. But they didn't go like try and risk it on like a 25-year-old or 24-year-old.
I mean, to be fair, they did almost try and get Rabiot, which is
questionable.
Which is
that would have been good, to be honest.
I don't know how the Casemiro. I don't know how that happened. It's like, like
Rabiot falls through, and Casemiro shows up on the plate. It's like, yeah, we'll take him.
Yeah,
because they were looking at Arnautovic and like these very strange, like that's not going to fix your issues.
Arnautovic would be ridiculous. That'd be funny in the locker room though. Like,
and then
dynamics.
They're like, oh, they're going after Casemiro. It's like that would be good, but like probably false. And it's like, oh, he's going.
Yeah.
What?
Like if you can do that, like that's huge, and that's kind of what I was hoping Chelsea would do. Bring someone in that's already, again, like established to help your team.
Yeah.
Because now like they're super young. Like they're not as young as Arsenal is. I don't think. I mean, Thiago Silva himself kind of just sets that over with his like 40-year-old age. But other than that, like they're like a really young team. Where again, like they don't have any real proven winners on their team. Like there's a lot of guys that won the Champions League are kind of gone, or like they were not like super involved. And it's just different.
Yeah,
it's a different team now, and the coach is different, and it's a whole different vibe.
Yeah.
So the Chelsea experiment is on, and it's real.
And
I guess I'm along for the ride.
Yeah.
Whether I want to be or not.
Yeah.
Your weekend schedule is as followed. Let me get this here. Early morning on Saturday, Arsenal and Aston Villa. Arsenal looking to bounce back. Brentford, Crystal Palace, Wolves, and Bournemouth. Oh, that's a nice little back of the end of the table there battle. Brighton, Fulham. Was that 6v7? I think?
Yeah.
Yep.
Everton, Leeds, another relegation battle. Damn, we got some good games on today. Or not this weekend. Chelsea, Southampton. If Chelsea doesn't win this game, I'm turn my TV off and I'm probably going to throw it down the stairs. Nottingham Forest and Man City. Newcastle and Liverpool is the big one on Saturday at 12:30. Man U and Leicester is always a good battle too. And Tottenham and West Ham London Derby rounds off your weekend. That is a late game on Sunday. Whew.
Should be fun.
What are the big standout games for you guys here?
Yeah, I mean, Everton Leeds, obviously that's going to be a big battle. Interested to see how Arsenal's going to jump back after a big loss. But obviously Newcastle Liverpool is going to be a doozy. So
I think Arsenal they're going away to Villa. Where's Villa standing? Mid-table.
yeah, that's a huge.
11.
This
This is oddly like a really, really big game for
It's
Arsenal.
a huge game for them to like get back.
I
on
mean,
track.
because Villa
You have to win.
away is not going to be easy.
Coming off 2 losses, Aston Villa.
Yeah, so they're going to be looking to bounce back. Arsenal,
Two commanding losses, 4-2 to Leicester and 3-1 to Man City.
yeah. So Arsenal have to win this game. You can't go to like a Aston Villa side that's struggling a little bit.
And it could be a must win, but I don't need a convincing win though.
No, you just have to win.
You can get a squeaky bum like 2-1 2-1
Just
win.
get the win. You're on a losing streak or dropping points streak.
Winless.
Winless
Dropping
streak.
point streak.
Dropping point streak.
Yeah, you don't want to make that 3
No.
into a 4 on the winless route right here.
You do not.
What else did I say? Everton and Leeds.
Yeah.
So that's 17 versus 18, tied on, or Everton's 1 point back of them. So if they win, they'll jump ahead out of relegation. I think they're going to be flip flopping out of relegation, the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I would think. But yeah, getting a coach like Sean Dyche, he can really help them out there. Bournemouth 18th again, like they can just win and get out of relegation as well.
Yeah, you could just win.
Playing against Wolves, and yeah, like I said, the Newcastle Liverpool, a little spicy one.
Mm-hmm.
High power Liverpool offense who are kind of trying to make their way back into the top 10 and solidify that spot, and Newcastle just looking to do their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be good.
You good? All right.
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone for listening. You can get the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It'll be up on YouTube as well. Yeah, if you can, leave a comment, leave a like on everything. It really helps the channel, really helps the podcast out as well. You good, boys?
Good.
All right. Thank you everyone for listening, and we will tune in next week after all the week's action.
See you, everyone.
See ya.
Ciao.